about Stanford or Duke or wherever I was applying. I want to apply because it's warm weather. There's people to meet outside. Silicon Valley really appeals to me, my entrepreneurial nature, that kind of stuff. If you're really honest with yourself, you're going to naturally filter down the colleges that you're applying to. And it will be much easier than you think of going through a college book of 500 that really doesn't tell you anything at all. So I first urge you to look inwards and then look outwards at the colleges that you're looking at. So how do you find what you want, right? So this is kind of about being honest with yourself, but also talk to people. Talk to as many people as possible about everything. This may be about your interests, and your mentors may be able to tell you, you should look at this college, it'd be great for entrepreneurship, or whatever X activity that you're interested in. You never know where you're going to find valuable information, so talk to everybody. We use this a lot in Silicon Valley in the sense when you're doing startups that there's no answers inside your office. Or in this case, there's no answers inside your house. You need to get outside. You need to talk to people who know about this stuff. Ex-students, current students, anybody, just to get a different perspective that might bring up something you hadn't thought of. So, also, bottom line question is, why are you going to college? I know this is a difficult question to ask because you want to be successful, wealthy, and wise at the end of your life and have a beautiful home and a beautiful family and that kind of thing. But you need to seriously ask yourself why you're going to college in the sense that will drastically drop down the choices that you're looking at. I was interested in sustainability, entrepreneurship, sunny weather. That really cuts down the choices. Stanford is number one in all of those. So I knew that I wanted to go to Stanford just based on what I had been interested in for years. And that was a genuine interest. It wasn't manufactured, it wasn't fake, and they can tell. So just be honest with yourself and just ask yourself, why am I doing all this? Why am I putting all this effort into something I don't genuinely want? So just think about that. And finally, how can parents help? So this is a touchy subject in the sense that you want the best for your children, and my parents certainly did want the best for me as well. So it's a fine line to walk between being too pushy and being too hands-off in the sense that you want to push when it's appropriate. So there's a lot of times when your students are probably studying diligently and their heads are down and they're really cranking out work and doing a fantastic job. That's when you want to let them be. And you probably know this better than anybody else would when you see your child studying and just doing great work. Let them be. They can handle it on their own. But sometimes there's going to be those times where we're kids. I mean, we're in high school in a sense. And we don't necessarily always see the long-term thinking as much as we might be on the same goal alignment as you in terms of wanting a certain set of outcomes out of our lives. We may totally agree with you and love everything that you do for us, but sometimes we just need a little bit of reminding. Why are we doing all this work? What does it do for me? That kind of thing. So just use your good judgment and err on the side of giving them space because high school is stressful enough, even if you didn't have to apply to college. But putting all that pressure on the student to get into X or Y university is just an incredible amount, and believe me, they feel it. So just give them a little bit of slack when you can. They'll appreciate it. And one final remark that I wanted to say is divorce the effort from outcome. This is too high a stakes of process to get destroyed over a poor outcome on a poor SAT, poor ACT, poor AP score, whatever it may be. And they're going to happen. I was disappointed in my SAT Chem score, but I didn't let it destroy me. I kept going. I knew there would be other opportunities to bring that story back to life. You just can't, and also when I mean divorcing efforts from outcomes in the sense that you may be the best in whatever you do in your community to the nth degree worldwide, and you still may not get into wherever you're trying to apply to. It's a lottery. There's no doubt about it in the sense that there are literally only so many spots, and it's just math. I mean, as much as you can try and deserve to get in, you just may not happen. But there will be one place where you do get in, and it is a great fit. So know that. But know that just because you did everything right doesn't mean it was a poor decision to do everything right and to put in all that effort, even though the outcome may not be what you expected. So that's all I got. Thank you for your time. Appreciate it.
Thank you very much, Mr. Silverman. And now we're going to have two speakers come up, Mr. Rohan Goel and Miss Natasha Jain.
Rohan, and this is Natasha. So thanks, first of all, to Mike and Jocelyn. I think it was a great talk and very inspiring as well. So I am an alum from Stanford, and I went to undergrad in Georgia Tech in Atlanta, and so did Natasha. And we met in Georgia Tech, and we came to Stanford together, and now we both graduated and are alums. So I just wanted to tell you a little bit of my background. When I was a high school student, I was in your chairs, and I was wondering, what to do to get into Stanford, get into Harvard. Just any information I could get would have been good. But I couldn't get any, and I hope there were seminars like this earlier. And we talked to a lot of students, and they were in the same boat. So after coming to Stanford, I collaborated with students like Natasha, Jocelyn, and Mike, also with some Stanford professors, to make a platform where the best students, the best college students from Harvard, Stanford, MIT, Yale, Columbia, Cornell, can all be online somewhere where you guys can go and talk to them and get relevant advice like you're getting right now. And since this is online, you can do this from the comfort of your home and in the whatever time suits you best. And this platform is called Fresh Mentors, where you can get one-to-one authentic advice through video chats from these people, from us, and get to know everything about how to apply to colleges, how to write your essays, and how to do well. So let me tell you a little bit about how Fresh Mentors works. So you can go to freshmentors.com and register, and we have a bunch of 150 students from all over the country, and these are high-achieving, successful students, and you can look at each one of their profiles and see what they have to offer to you guys, and if you feel a good connect with these people, and you can click on either a chat or an essay review, and it'll take you to a page where you can schedule this chat or essay review, and these people will help you one-to-one in writing your essays and helping you in whatever questions you have. So it's like a one-to-one consulting session, and I think you guys should really check it out. We have mentors from everywhere, Georgia Tech, as I mentioned, which is my university, as well as all the other universities, Ivy League, Stanford. Natasha, you want to add something to that?
Yeah, so essentially, we have recruited these mentors through interviewing them. They've gone through an application process, so we want to make sure that you don't get biased advice. It's honest, it's, right from the students, and you can learn from their perspectives and experiences. And as of now, our product is being used globally. It's not just in the US, even students from India, China, Turkey, etc. are using our product, and we hope that you can also use it, see if you like it, and help the students out. So if you want to access our product, please go to bayecho.freshmentors.com. We've partnered with Bayecho to create this platform for you and your kids. So hopefully you'll enjoy it. Thanks.
This is mainly stemming from the fact that we have to maintain the website and the mentors. So we have about 150 mentors that we pay for each session so that we can keep them motivated to give you the best advice. So to cover that cost, it's a paid service, yes. Any other questions? Okay, thanks.
How's everyone doing? My name is Sophia. I'm from the Bay Area. I went to Monte Vista, graduated in 2007, and I completed college in 3 years, so I graduated from UCLA in 2010. And I guess you're all here because you're interested in seeing how to get your kids into college, but if you think that's stressful, what you should really be thinking about is 4 years down the line. So what I'm here to talk to you today about is, the long term. Not just, what classes to take, what APs to take, what tests to take, how to study, but, how do you guarantee long-term success down the line? Because just because you get into a good school, does that really guarantee that that's going to get you anywhere? And so right now, a lot of people in my graduating high school class have just sort of graduated from college and have started looking for jobs or have started graduate school. So I kind of want to talk a little bit about what it looks like on the other side of college. So I have friends who, like went to Berkeley, are at a consulting firm, friends who, went to UCLA and now work for tech companies and tech startups, as well as friends on the East Coast who are in private schools, who are working in DC or going to graduate school or law school. But I also know that there are a lot of students that graduated with me who, haven't been so successful, and it's not necessarily because of the college that they went to. For example, I have this one friend who ended up going to UPenn. She got into she got into Wharton, which is a really great business program. But she ended up being really unhappy there and had to take a leave for a full year to kind of figure out what she really wanted to do. So, you can't just assume that going to a great college is going to, fix all your problems for you. And what ended up being her problem was that she realized that the school wasn't really a great fit for her. So one thing that I kind of want to talk to you today about is, finding the right fit for your kid for what school they should go to. And I think a lot of that has to do with what some of the people here have mentioned before, is, really knowing what your interests are and really following your passions. A lot of people end up going into great schools, but then, they wander around for 4 or 5 years and switch majors multiple times because they just don't know what they want out of life and what they want to do. And some of them end up going to colleges that, are either too big for them, so they were never able to stand out, or were kind of too small for them, so they weren't able to get to certain opportunities. And I think that really affects where you end up later on. So I kind of wanted to give 3 basic principles that I think that will kind of lead you towards long-term success, and they're not really specific in terms of like what classes to take. But the first thing that I want to mention that I think we haven't talked about today yet is, make good friends. Make friends that inspire you. Make friends that, are smart, ambitious, motivated. Make friends who, you want to be like them because they're going places. Because in the end, it doesn't, these people, you're going to see them after college. You're going to see them on breaks. You're going to see them later on in the workforce. And networking ends up being really important. And it's really important who you end up knowing. If you think about, where did you get your last job? Where is, how do you get your internships? They're all going to be because of people you know. And those people are going to be the ones who motivate you and support you, as you go through college, as you go look for your first job. Maybe 10 years down the line when you look for, your third job, or when you're looking for somewhere new to go. So people don't mention this a lot, but, pay attention to your network. It's important to start networking early and start thinking about, what kinds of people do you want to surround yourself with? What kinds of people do you want to be like? My second point would be to, find your passion. And this can be really hard. It's really hard for a high school student to be like, I know that I want to do X, Y, Z from the age of 16, 17, 18. It's really hard. But it's important to start looking and to continue looking. Look at what classes you enjoy, go talk to people, see what kinds of jobs that they do. There's really a lot more out there than what we kind of are aware of. So it's important to talk to different kinds of people and see, especially in the Bay Area, there's so many different tech companies, there are different opportunities to kind of see what you want to do. And then after that, you want to work hard, and then you want to work harder. So it's really important to, find what makes you passionate and then just go for it, because, once you find what you want to do, it's really important to have the motivation to keep going. The people that I know that have been most successful are not the people who necessarily, had the highest SAT score or got all 5s on APs, or people who, went to XYZ college. They're the people who, no matter what happens in life, no matter what kind of obstacles, they encounter or where they're placed, they always strive to be the best and, make the most of their potential and kind of go after their dream. So I think in the end, that's kind of my takeaway message is really think about the long term as much as the short term. If you're thinking about, SATs and APs, it's also important to think about, what values, what kind of skills, what work ethic do you want to have 5 years down the line, 10 years down the line? What kind of person do you want to be? And those are the kinds of things that you should also start working on now. So that's what I have.
Does anyone have any questions for Mrs. Sophia? Great. Okay, now we're gonna.
So the question is, did I go on a college tour or visit colleges? So I did visit some colleges. I didn't visit all of them, particularly because like financial constraints, you can't, I mean, you can fly to the East Coast to see every college up and down, but like you could also spend that time doing more important things possibly. I think it matters to think about, you know, what the culture at a college is, and sometimes it matters to go see the college because you won't know that information. But you can also get that information through networking, through friends that you have, through people that you know. Part of my point about, you know, making good friends is also thinking about what kind of friends do you want to make in college? Who do you want to carry with you through your life? So it matters, you know, what the culture of the college is. Is it going to be really cutthroat and competitive? Is everyone really cooperative? Is everyone geared towards a single goal? Or like, is there a certain work ethic there? I think that a lot of this stuff you can find out now remotely because of the digital age. So if, you know, like financially it doesn't work out, you don't necessarily have to visit every college. And I think it's also hard to know what a college is really about by going on a standard college tour. They're not going to tell you everything that you really want to know, because what you really want to know is what that school looks like in session, things like that, and that's going to be hard to do.
Any other questions? Okay, now we're going to have our next speaker, Mr. Peter Tang. He currently attends the University of Chicago.
Thank you, Alex. As he said, my name is Peter Tang, and I'm going to be a second year at the University of Chicago. And my presentation will basically be about the differences between high school and college life. I'm going to split this up into two sections. The first section will be about the difference in courses and academics. The second section will revolve around your child's freedom and time management. Now, I think the main difference between courses in college and high school is that in college, your classes are shorter. In high school, you're probably at school for 6 or 7 hours of a day, but in college, you're only really in class for maybe about 4 hours a day. Some of your classes only meet once or maybe twice, rarely 3 times a week. So you're going to classes a lot less often in college. Now, are you learning less compared to high school? Of course not. In high school, your teachers teach very slowly. It's at a very slow pace. You can ask your teachers any question and they'll take the time to respond. Your teachers will go up to your desk and help you with problems. In college, that's all gone. Now, depending on what kind of school you go to and how big your classes are, the degree of professor support is different. If you're in a large lecture class with 300, 400 people, there's no way the professor is going to give you attention. And sometimes in those classes, there's no way you'll even see your professor because it's always teacher assistants helping to teach. Now, for some other smaller classes, you may be able to get your professor's attention after class, but almost never during class. In college, there's also something called office hours, in which you can go to your professor's office and ask them questions, ask them for help, ask them to elaborate, etc., etc. In high school, you don't really go to do this because you don't need to. Your teachers are all there during class time, which you have a lot of. Now, your assignments for homework in college are also, the number has decreased. You have fewer numbers of homework assignments in college. For example, in an average college quarter, I only have 2 or 3 essays to write, compared to high school, in which I had 4 or maybe 5 essays to write a semester. Now, of course, this doesn't mean that college is easier. In fact, it's much harder. Because in college, even though the number of homework assignments you have has decreased, the difficulty has increased a lot. And often the length of these assignments will also increase. Instead of having maybe like 5 problems of math homework to do a day, I'm given 1 problem set for the whole week of math, and this problem set maybe has 20 short questions or 5 long questions that can take anywhere from 1 hour to 2 hours per problem. So I think it's really important to understand that in college, you're going to be at your courses for shorter, and you're going to have longer and harder homework. Now, how to utilize that properly, how to utilize that time that you do have left over is really important, and that's has to relate to your time management in college and the freedom you have. Now, a lot of parents are probably thinking, well, in college, my kid has so much freedom. You know, they're going to go out and party and do drugs and do other bad things, right? But your kids are probably thinking, yes, my parents aren't behind my back. They're not nagging me. They're not telling me to do my homework and study all day long, right? So to kids, it's a beautiful thing. To parents, it seems like an evil thing. Well, it's sort of both. Depends on what you make of it. Now, as I said earlier, your classes are shorter, which means that you have a lot more free time. And you're free to use that free time however you want. What many parents also don't know is that you can set your courses to any time of day you want. I have a lot of friends who don't start any courses until after 1 p.m. and they go to course until 5 p.m. So they wake up at noon, eat lunch, go to class, come back from class at 5, and then stay up until 2 or 3 a.m. doing homework. And that's perfectly fine because they sleep from 2 to about 12. That's 10 hours of sleep. Whereas some of my other friends, they go to class at 7:30 each morning. This is rare, by the way, because you can never wake up for college. They go to class at 7:30 in the morning, end class before noon, and they use the rest of their afternoon to either nap or do homework or do other fun things. So there's a lot of flexibility in your schedule in college, and there's really a lot you can do with it. And I think I noticed that among some of my friends, they will just like sit in their dorm room after class, sit there, maybe like do homework, play games, go on the internet, and that's, to be honest, sort of boring. Because colleges give you so many opportunities. You have about twice as much free time in college as you do at home because you're not in class and your parents aren't nagging you and you don't need to drive back and forth between school. Instead of filling that free time with video games or just hanging out pointlessly, which you can do for half the time there, what you can do for teens and soon-to-be college students, you can go to college activities. Now, these are sort of like high school clubs, but in one key difference, in one very large difference. You're paying tens of thousands of dollars a year to college, right? What do they use that for? Not just tuition. Your colleges will fund the activities and clubs that will be at this college. For example, in high school, in speech and debate, whenever I traveled to a tournament, I would have to dish out $50 to $200 per tournament in tournament fees, airplanes, hotels, etc. In college, based on how much I'm paying, all those fees are gone. I can go to a hotel, I can take cars there, I can take a plane there, all of it is free. Hundreds of dollars in travel costs, free. Because I'm paying tuition. So, to be able to make the most out of college, your child really has to go out there and do these activities. These activities will also be longer because you can actually have more free time to meet. These activities are there's also a lot more activities as well. High school, there's not really much you can do. There's like maybe speech and debate, like key club, not much else you can do. Some small like math, science clubs. In college, there's everything. There's archery, there's fencing, there's photography, there's just about almost anything. You name it, it's there. There's people who go out and find, basically, their whole activity is to find popular bands to come and play at schools. For example, in my school this year, the rapper Ludacris appeared, and basically a bunch of students just spent their whole year planning for him to come. So it's pretty fun. And I think, really, again, the main thing is that in college, you're going to have a lot more time. What you choose to do with that time is really up to you. You have a lot of freedom, you can do whatever you want with that. You can either use that to make your college experience very awesome, by doing a lot of activities, hanging out with friends, making connections, and of course, doing your homework. Well, a lot of parents probably think, if they have this much time, are they actually going to do their homework? The answer is, well, yes, because they know they just have to do their homework. In high school, you have to push your child to do their homework, right? That's why they don't really have a sense of need to be able to do their homework on their own. They don't really have this feeling of, I need to do my homework out of my own will, because they know you're there to push them to do it. In college, you're not there. They'll push themselves to do it. You need to trust them. I think that's the most important thing in college. Being parents, you need to trust your children. You don't need to make Skype calls every single day, every single hour to ask, how are you doing? Are you doing your homework? Are you eating properly? My parents sort of did that at the beginning, right? And then they stopped, and I realized that I just wouldn't pick up their calls. And I'm doing perfectly fine. If you ask them, my college life is fine, I'm getting good grades, I'm doing a lot of things. So I think, really, when your child goes to college, you can just sort of relax. They'll figure things out on their own. Your college will give them a lot of support. So basically, your child will be able to have a really fulfilling life in college compared to high school because of how much time they have, and you don't need to worry that much. Sounds like a win-win situation, right? Your child has fun, you don't need to care about them. And so I guess that basically sums up the difference between high school and college life. And to give it another summary, basically you have more time in college, and that time in college can be spent however you want. And most of the time, almost all of the students will spend it in a way that makes them better, matures them, and gives them a more fulfilling college and academic experience. Are there any questions? Yes. Okay, so have I ever felt the need to ask my parents about advice in college? Yes, they still are my parents, and I still look to them for advice. Sometimes this advice would be, I'm studying between these two classes, should I take it? Sometimes I listen to their advice, sometimes I don't. Sometimes the advice is, sometimes I just ask them, like, oh, I'm buying plane tickets home for this day or this day. When do you want me to come home? But more often than not, a lot of things like how to prepare for tests, asking them for help on homework I don't really do, because all of my friends there, right, all of them are able to help me with that. I can ask them for help. That brings me to a point I forgot to mention. In college, when we're in high school, no one will ask you about your high school life. No one will ask you about your SAT scores. No one cares what you did in your clubs. No one cares what leadership roles you had. I never told anyone what my leadership roles were, what my SAT and AP scores were. In college, you're a new person, and your friends will all see you that way. And your friends, there's a mutual support. I know this is sort of straight from your question. I guess my point is that all your friends are equals, they'll be able to help each other. So you don't really need to rely on your parents for advice and support anymore as well. One more question? Thank you.
Thank you, Peter. Now we will have our next speaker, Dennis Tsui. He's a freshman at Harvard. He's actually not physically here, but we have a video that we can show you.
So cool.
Hi, everyone. I'm Dennis, and I'm the ex-president of the Bayecho Association. I'm going to be a freshman at Harvard next year, and I'm sorry I couldn't be here today, but I'm currently on the airplane. So, I was supposed to be here to talk about my high school experience, and so really, what I found out in high school is that there are many ways you can get through high school. Like, I have a lot of friends who were doing things like art, a lot of students were into politics, a lot of student government, people were playing sports, who were doing math, science, and really what I found out was that all of these students managed to get into good colleges and made it through high school. So basically, in high school, there's not just one path to get through, but the exciting thing is that there are many ways that your child, or you, if you're in high school right now, can manage your way through high school. So, freshman year really is the time for you to explore, to try new things, join many clubs, make many friends, try to do as many things as you can, and really just, as you explore, find things that you're really interested in. For example, for me, that turned out to be math and science, really, the two major things I did throughout high school. But in my freshman year, I worked on things like debate, I ran track, I joined a couple of clubs that I never really followed through, but that's what freshman year is. You basically try things, you figure out what you like to do. And the key is to actually find things that you're really interested in and not try to finish your high school doing everything. Like, after freshman year, I really started thinking about what I wanted to do for the rest of my high school year, for the rest of my high school life, and that boiled down to math. I joined the math club. I started doing a lot of math-related things, contests. I ended up becoming vice president of the math club, and I also started doing community service with Bayecho and trying to help families bond better and be able to support each other. And these things really are the highlights of my high school life. I can't really say I did a lot of things, but I feel like I did a good job of finding things that I was interested in and pursuing those beyond what people normally would do. So after freshman year, basically, you've done all these things. Now you kind of want to find the key things that you're really interested in or talented in or things that you really want to do. And parents, at this time in your child's life, I think you should give them a little bit of freedom to try and figure out what they want to do for themselves. And I think it really helps teens when you're able to support them as they try to do things, try to do new things and find things that they're really interested in. So I know that really helped me because ever since I was in elementary school, my mom's always asking me what do I want to do, and then like when I wanted to play soccer or tennis or something, she'd always support me and she'd help me find classes, and she'd I didn't really go very far doing those things, but I knew that whenever I wanted to do something, I could ask my mom and she'd be there to help me out. And so, let's see, after sophomore year, junior year, senior year, I guess once you find those things that you're really interested in and really want to do, it's really important that, well, aside from doing them for fun, when you're starting to think about college applications and stuff, one thing that I feel colleges really look for is that you take something and you show initiative or leadership through it. For example, I started the Bayecho Association to help parents and teens work together and bond and build stronger relationships. And it's not that I helped. It's not that I just did some sort of community service, but I tried to show that I was really interested in it, and I showed initiative by starting the nonprofit organization Bayecho that did all of these things, and I worked to help these parents and teens really understand each other. And together as a group, the Bayecho teens went and talked at multiple locations and tried to reach out to basically the Bay Area. And overall, I think that was an enriching experience for me. And I think it did help in my college apps. But in the end, basically, find things that you're interested in and do them and go beyond what like people would expect of you, and really show that you're interested in them. And that'll give you things to write about when you're actually going through doing your college applications and stuff. And let's see, so after that, your junior and senior year, like I have classes and stuff. I think that you should always try to take the most challenging classes that you can handle. Like, it's better to challenge yourself and learn new things than to take an easy class and get an A. And I think that that's also a theme that ran throughout my high school career. I tried to take challenging classes, do challenging things. Like, before high school, I did math, but I never really thought about doing math at a higher level. Like, I look at random things about math that were interesting to me, but once I got into high school, I realized that my math wasn't really that great, actually. I had to work really, really hard. I did a lot of problem sets from competitions like the AME and the USAMO, which are national level competitions in the United States. And overall, I feel that by challenging myself with these problems, I was able to become a lot better at math. And in the end, I qualified for the USAMO. And so I guess the key is that through hard work and being able to challenge yourself, you can achieve much more than you thought you'd be able to. And finally, I guess in high school, you should have a lot of fun. Like, I think that characterized a lot of my high school life. Even though I worked hard, at the end of the day, when I was done working, I would still play.
A cell phone went off at this part.
So I guess another important aspect of high school is to have fun. Like, even though I worked hard, at the end of the day, I still played games and stuff, but only after I finished my work. And so, really, high school is about finding balance between working hard and challenging yourself, and being able to have fun, make friends, and do things that interest you. And And in the end, I think that everyone can find a fit in high school. Like, everyone can find something unique that they are interested in doing and pursue that to a depth that nobody knew they could achieve. And I think that overall, high school is just that, about finding what you're really interested in and doing that. Because everyone has their own way of getting through high school. And in the end, no matter which college you go to, as long as you find a college that you're interested in, that you feel is a good fit, it'll also become the best college in the world for you.
Thank you, Dennis.
Hi, my name is Lee. I'm Dennis' mom. And sorry, Dennis is on my airplane now. So I'm here, sitting here to answer questions for Dennis. So do you have any questions? Yes. Well, I think there must be many kids who have the same problem. He doesn't find his what he's like right in school. But I still, I would suggest you to try a few more things, and pick the one you're probably not so interested, the best one. Don't do more. If you try to do 2 or 3 things together, join 2 or 3, actively participate 2 or 3 classes, and you can't spend much effort time, in one. So pick one of them which seems better for you. So, and also in that group, in school, in the group, in particular club, you can meet more kids, making more friends and explore more. So even though you don't have one thing which is really interesting to you, you should try one thing. That would, so, on the way, later, you might find something. Yeah. So after school activity, actually, I'm sorry, what kind of activities Dennis did in after school? After school activity in college, I've actually divided into two categories. One is academic related, and another kind is non-academic related. So in academic related, Dennis did the math, that's his major. Even it's math, it's something like related to schoolwork, but it's also something that's extracurricular activity. So the other one is normally people talk about is your community service, which is non-academic activity. So normally that Dennis, the Bayecho is his major community service. So I think right now for good colleges, they look for well-rounded people. So they are also pay some attention to your community service, what you do. So I would say, there are many ways you can be help in the hospital, in the library, but that's something a lot of kids does. So it won't really show your kid who has a specialty or something. So the best community service is, something your kids can do to help his local community, like his school, he does something to help his school, he does something to help his, where's the neighborhood. That's more valuable to me also because, if you can make contribution to your neighborhood, to your school, once you get into college, you might be able to help our college too. So that's just my opinion. So if you say, go to do 100 hours in a library, you might want to do it in a local, your neighbor library. You want to do hospital service. Maybe you want to help the senior communities in your neighborhood. Something, don't go too far. Just show off your care about your community and do service in your neighborhood. That's I think more valuable than just the number of hours. Why did Dennis choose Harvard? Dennis wants to go far away from us. he doesn't seem to like to be with us. So he's trying to go further. And once I said China is further away, so why don't you go to China? So that's what I think. And also, I don't know, I think in elementary school, they are boasting he wanted to go to Harvard. So Harvard has always been his number one, the dream school. So it's kind of easy for him, but that's not the case for everyone. Every kid is different. So, and another thing I want to tell parents, don't try to follow a path of this kids or the other kids. Everyone is different. Every path is different. And another thing is because we all come from the Chinese background, we're kind of nervous about, what to do, how to do, picking which class to take, which course. And, in the end, it's not really matters that much. Okay, taking one more AP course or less doesn't really matter too much.
Thank you very much, Mrs. Yu. Now we will have Mrs. Dong. Thank you very much, Mrs. Dong. Now we will have Mrs. Deborah Yu. She's a teacher at Spring Light Education. Her daughter is a sophomore at MIT.
Is there any parents who doesn't know English? Would you raise your hand so I can translate a little in Mandarin? Otherwise, I use English because everybody using English, so I guess more people understand English than Chinese. So first, to introduce myself, my name is Deborah Yu. In Chinese, it's Yu Zhang. Some people call me Yu Lao Shi. I used to teach universities in numerical method or mathematical modeling or engineering mathematics or like a fluid mechanics, which use a lot of like a non-linear, non-homogeneous and multiple variable equations. We have to solve that, but I still can use after then. Then I start by a chance, coincidence, I started doing tutoring while my daughter was to be born. So after then, I started this business. I thought that can help my daughter a lot. But after then, I found when she was in high school, I found I couldn't help her because when she needs my help and I need to help other kids. That's one of the reasons she couldn't get a straight A because that math is the only subject she got B sometimes. 所以呢，我教过很多数学在大学里面，但是就是因为小孩子，我偶然机遇我当了这个就是教这个 高中学生，结果后来发现这个我的这个女儿反而帮不到，我之前以为可以帮得到她忙，结果我在教别人孩子，然后这个她自己要帮忙，我就没办法管她，我说哎呀自己理了，或者早上开车带她上学的时候，早上7分钟，开始讲你要问的问题，我就这样很大概的解释一下，她就半懂非懂的这样去课堂，所以她有一年老师不教课，她就拿了 B， 所以她的 GPA 呢不到3.9哈。那他的 SAT， 我组的这个英文SAT， 因为我自己教数学跟化学，那他这个每个 summer 组一个 SAT 班，结果只有一个学生不能上，就是我自己的。那开到门口了，他都太累了，不能上，所以他的 SAT 呢考了不到2000B 哈。那这个是他的缺点，但是像刚才那个 Stanford 同学讲。So like one component cannot drag you down， 就是你1、2个地方不好，你还是不要气馁。My daughter has the good point that she always very courageous to try very hard in everything. So she still has some highlights, make her get into MIT very luckily, which is our blessing, I guess. It's kind of a miracle for us. So her good point is like when she was 4, we divorced. So she had to suffer some divorce, parents' divorce, and some financial problem, some custody problem because she shifted from father, and she couldn't stand that. So she finally decided at the age of 13, and she totally ran to my place under very big pressure. So this is a smart decision. After then, she totally got the support because I'm the mother who always support her. And also, I usually, whenever she make a decision, she asks me. So I usually give my knowledge or some input and let her make a final decision. So I usually follow her, support her, do information supply. And so she got some highlights. Her SAT 2 taken earlier from 9th grade. So biology, she got a 780. Math got a 760. Chinese 750. She got a 4. The other chemistry, she got a 760. So in average, you look like even though there's no 800, she took the test in a rush in her 10th or 11th grade. She took it in a rush. None of the subjects is 800 score, but she really tried hard, but because in a rush she couldn't get a full score. But that makes her spectrum looks quite good looking. And also, in her extracurriculum, she does volleyball. She did it for 3 years. It's about 15 to 25 hours per week in the volleyball season. And also, she is doing a church worship team leader. She's a very faithful Christian, more faithful than her mother because her special condition. So she spent 10 to 15 hours per week, including searching for the songs and learn by herself, and then train her team, and then go to play Sunday morning. This doesn't count, it's not counted in volunteer work, but that makes her experience and also her passion strong. I think passion is another important factor. So everything she is doing, she pray to God and also check with her mother, me. and so that I can get advice in time. For example, like her high school, what kind of activities we need to choose, because she play basketball, volleyball, soccer, and then we decided like we only choose one, give up the other two, and also so that she needs to make a little better time management, and also what classes to take, what kind of things she need to pay attention when applying universities, or when she is going to do like an extracurriculum contest, and she got into MIT like a waiting list. So finally she got into an MIT, formally took her, even though in waiting list the acceptance rate is much lower than regular acceptance rate, but she never gave up. So this is the story. I want to encourage some of the students that if one or two component isn't good, or you have some special disadvantages points around you, don't feel discouraged. You still try your best to every component. She said, I don't care. Even if it's too challenging, even if too difficult, doesn't matter. Even if my grade is lowered by taking AP classes or honor classes, which is much more difficult, she said, I don't care. And she just still keep trying. So this is her good point. Possibly this is the point that the university likes. So before they put her into the waiting list, she never participate any national contest competition, but she got one in her 12th grade. So it's never too late. She got a regional place 6. She said she didn't prepare, but she intentionally want to know if this is God's message. So she didn't prepare and go. So she got a 6th place, which is not qualified, not eligible for the state competition. But all of a sudden she got an email says, do you want to go? Because we don't have, anyway, you're eligible now because the better places, they couldn't go. So she asked me, go, if you want to get MIT. So she prepared, and even 2 nights before, she still went to a Christian youth conference to midnight. And I dragged her back. I said, well, I couldn't drive so late, otherwise we'll get a car accident. So that she was reluctant and came back home with me. So when she arrived home, it's at midnight. Second morning, she disappeared to the competition. And around 2 o'clock, not too long after that, she called back. She said she got a state competition, the 3rd place. So she is become eligible to go to national competition. So that, as she said, she checked with all the MIT students. Most of them were eligible for the national competition. They participated. So this is I remember it's April 28th, which is 2 days away from May 1st. So May 1st was the first day for update for MIT because she was in the waiting list. So she got a second semester of junior year, 11th grade, straight A. She got a 12th grade, the first semester of 12th grade, straight A, which is very good looking because that shows her strengths, going up in her junior and senior year. I guess this possibly touched their heart. And also before the interview, and we we discuss about what's your drawback, what's your good point. So how to strengthen your good point, how to embellish your drawback in a very skillful way. She all listened, she followed, even though sometimes she doesn't listen to me. Like SAT, she doesn't go to the classroom, and only after once she took it with a lower than 2100, she wouldn't take it again, but instead she took ACT. ACT, she got a 99 percentile, which is, the borderline of MIT, because 99 percentile is about 25 percentile in MIT. So I think this possibly is her highlights that they took her, put her into the waiting list. Possible even in the waiting list, she's the very last one. But all the way from the time she got a waiting list up to the time she could update, she doesn't care which school to go or whichever school going to accept her. She didn't care. She just keep trying. And then she got a 2 free summer internship, and because she couldn't get a physics class in college, and so she called her internship, and it's free, no pay. And I said, go ahead, okay, stay home, because your brain gets dulled and rusted. So why not just go, get the experience? And then she went, and so after that summer, it's really different, because in workplace, her boss graduated from Lindbergh, and then her alumni, and then Stanford all the way. And she gave her a lot of inspiration and motivation and encouragement. So she tried very hard. And after the second summer, that turned into a paid job. 5 hours she can work at home, and until she graduated from her senior year. Those money were really important for us because my health wasn't good that time. I couldn't earn as much. So she even helped our family financial a little bit. So this is all her good point. And so she has the college courage, she has the endeavor, she has the persistence, and she likes to challenge, and she has the passion. So these possibly are her highlight that they want to accept her. So 2 days after she got into the state competition, and then I asked her, try to talk to them to see if they really got it. Sometimes it may maybe under the stack, they didn't see it. But then she tried to call many times and see what's going on. And finally, they called her, they accepted her. And after that, because our single parents, so they give like a full scholarship, including the travel, room and board, of course the tuition, room and board, and a little bit clothing, books, almost everything. So I didn't pay anything. My relative was too unexpectedly excited because we never expect she could go there without like UC Santa Cruz, fine, okay, UC Riverside, fine, but she got at MIT, so my relatives were so happy about it, so they planned to give her $100 for her freshman congratulations, but then instead they added a zero after then. So the time she went to the MIT, she was richer in her account than mine. So these are her highlights. So my daughter is my good student, and one of my students, like other students, I like to make a very difficult, complicated things into a simpler theory or simpler steps to follow, so that they can follow without difficulty. So yeah, this is the main idea that I practice in her life. And when the things become simple, you just repeatedly to do it. And so